Now, regardless of what hash function we use, there's actually the possibility that multiple keys in our data hash to the same location in the table. When that happens, this is called a collision, and there needs to be some sort of collision resolution policy, and that's what we'll take a look at now. So, for example, let's assume once again that we have our table of size M, and M is 367, again chosen because it's a large prime number. Using direct hashing, for instance, we can take the value 511 and it maps to location 144. But if we hash value 878 and we just directly mod it by 367, that also maps to that particular location. And as such, we have then what's known as a collision. This is not restricted to only direct hashing. So let's take a look at an ASCII example. If I have the word data that I want to use as a key and the word dang, as in D-A-N-G, and I take and I apply that to the hash function that sums up the ASCII values. In both of those cases, I will get the sum of 378, which will lead to my data being stored at location index 11 for both of these pieces of information. So once again, we've got two pieces of data wanting to be stored in the same location, if you will. Finally, let's take a look at a folding example. You might think that that would keep us from being in this difficult situation, but it does not. So if I hash, for instance, social security number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I hash a totally different social security number that almost has no relation that we could look at and say those things look close. So the social security number 314945109, both of these social security numbers, these two different social security numbers, would using folding would sum to 1368. And if we use those and mod it by the table size M, 367, they would store in they would come up with the same index value as to where to be stored. So collisions then happen whenever a key hashes to an index, which is called a home position. When we first calculate an index, it's called a home position for that particular key. And if there's already an entity in that particular data element, then that's called a collision, and we have to resolve the collision somehow. And the approach by which we resolve collisions is going to take into account how the data is stored, and we will look at various hashing methods soon. So we're looking at hashing functions now, but we'll look at some different ways of applying hashing and hashing functions to data structures. But basically, we have to resolve any collisions so that the data doesn't map to the same location and then becomes irretrievable in some way.